So here at RCENT, you're going to hear the term strong sergeants a lot.
Right.
What is your interpretation and your idea of a strong sergeant?
A strong sergeant to me, when I think of sergeant, I think of a leader. That's the first thing I think of. I think of these young soldiers coming in and their parents putting that trust into that sergeant to lead those young soldiers, because we both have kids, and if my kids was out, I would want somebody to lead them. I think of a mentor, and when I think of a sergeant, that person that's going to square away that young soldier coming on in, giving the soldier guidance, or to motivate, coach, teach, mentor. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of a sergeant. What about you, Sergeant Major?
I agree with everything you just said. All of those are extremely important. I think another aspect of a strong sergeant and a good leader is maintaining the standard, displaying the standard, and enforcing all the standards. You know, one of the first, I see you have a drill sergeant badge on, and so do I.
Right.
One of the first things that soldiers see when they come into the Army is that drill sergeant, that image of a strong sergeant. Maintaining that image even after we take the hats off, I think is important, and I think that's what we need to aspire to continue throughout our careers.
What was your interaction with your first sergeant at your first duty station in the Army?
My first interaction with a sergeant when I was a private was I got to Hawaii, and I'm standing at reception waiting for the sponsors to come and pick us up. And this young sergeant showed up, and he was just the epitome of professionalism. It was like a drill sergeant without a hat. And I put that sergeant on a pedestal, and I never thought I would make it to even that level in my career. And that was 25 years ago.
Okay.
What about you? What was your first interaction with your first NCO?
I had a different experience. I think my first NCO was trying to take a lot of shortcuts, and that kind of motivated me, because I said, we talked about schools and the future of the military, and he said, I'm not doing that, because that NCO was more focused on getting out. Then I told myself, I want to do the opposite of that NCO. So I wanted to be a drill sergeant. I wanted to go to airborne school, aerosol. I wanted to go to every other school. So as I came through the ranks, I told myself, I will not be that type of NCO. I will never leave a fallen comrade. And if I have NCOs under me, I always tell them to maintain the standards, and let's not guide these young soldiers the wrong way. So I think that right there helped me become a lot stronger NCO.
That's the same philosophy that I've used throughout my career. I heard one time from one of my leaders that you should take the good parts of the good NCOs that you have and apply that to your leadership style, and then keep in mind the bad parts of the bad NCOs that you have, and make sure that you don't apply those to your leadership. So I really appreciate that. So how about this one? What about your very first soldier?
Whew.
Were you nervous when you first got your...
I was actually hyper. I was
Really?
like, woo, I was ready, because I was so excited, because I remember we was out training in the box, and I pinned on, and I was walking around, my chest up, like, yeah, I'm a sergeant now, extra $300 a month back then. So I was just excited, and I always think we should work 2 levels higher, so I always was thinking ahead. So by the time I pinned on, it was very natural for me, to be honest on Major. So, but it was a good experience, and so that was the first time I counseled a soldier. That was the first time I really motivated a soldier. We had formation. That was the first time I led anything. I never led. I always was in the formation, so that was the first time I led a formation, a martial formation. So I actually loved being a sergeant, and I should remember when my first soldier. We still talk till this day, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
What about you, Sergeant Major?
Oh, wow. It's so when I graduated PLDC, I came out and we had a brand new group of soldiers. So it wasn't just a soldier that I had. I think I had 2 or 3 of them at a time. One of them went AWOL.
Wow.
So
welcome
it was
to the
just,
club.
Right, he got there, and just a few days later, he had went AWOL. He ended up coming back, and he went on a deployment with us and everything. But yeah, I was really nervous coming out of PLDC. My platoon sergeant had told me, "Hey, we've got these new soldiers. These ones are going to be yours." And I just immediately, even after going through all that training at PLDC, it set on me. It's like, wow, I have this responsibility. I have to go do this now because I'm the leader.
Yes.
And it was really powerful, and it was really intimidating. But I went in full force and did my best to treat him with dignity and respect, and took it from there.
In today's Army, for the NCO call, how you think the senior NCOs should respect the law enlisted soldiers from your perspectives?
Okay, so the soldiers' requests that they have during NCO induction ceremonies is a good example, and it's kind of broken down into 3 parts. The first part talks about respect, and that's one of the things that we do as MEO professionals. We talk about treating everybody with dignity and respect. So as long as we're doing that, we're answering their call. The second part is about communication. Communication is important because we always have to make sure that we're passing along information and also receiving information from our subordinates.
Definitely.
The NCO Creed talks about, I'll communicate consistently with my soldiers and never leave them uninformed. So as long as we keep that in mind and do that every day, I think we're living up to that standard. The third part is about training, and we have to pass on our knowledge to the future generations, because when we're old and out of the Army, these soldiers that we have now are going to take our job.
I agree.